In this video, I'm going to walk you through the entire process of creating your first AI agent with no prior experience and no coding required. By the end of the video, you will have a completely functioning AI agent that manages your entire calendar, all from just sending a simple text message. So in order to get started with AI agents, we're going to be using a platform called Innate. You can come over, you can start a free trial. So once you log in, you'll be brought to a dashboard. You won't have all these here like I do, but what we can start by doing is we can create a workflow under this account overview. And then we'll be brought to a page that looks something like this. So what we can start to do is actually just test by having just a basic chat message inside of Innate. And then we are going to create an agent to basically look at our calendar, and we can tell the agent to look at the events, create, delete events, change events, things like that. All just inside of a simple chat message with this AI agent. So in order to do this, we can select this on chat message to actually start the kind of automation or the agent off. So this is what's called a trigger event. A trigger event is just the event that takes place that kicks off the rest of the flow to take place afterwards. So in order to do this, we actually need to select the make chat publicly available. We can delete this initial message, and then we can continue editing from here. So then after we've created this chat message, we're going to select the plus right here to actually add our AI agent. You can select advanced AI and then AI agent right here. So once we click on the agent, you can see it's kind of broken up into 3 parts here. So you have the input that's coming into this agent, and then the output the agent is actually generating. And then this middle part here is kind of the configuration of this agent. So you can select different options here. We're just going to leave it at tools. And then we're going to actually define the prompt below. You can see before it was just going off of this JSON.input, which is just this chat message that we've input to the agent here. So we actually do need this. So I'm just going to copy this, but then we're going to select define below, which allows us to just give this agent a prompt as to what it's doing. So we're going to click expression, because we want this, when we paste in this JSON chat input, we actually want this to be adjusted for whenever we're chatting with the bot. So if we just leave it at fixed, it's going to literally look at this text right here, JSON.chat input. And that doesn't tell the agent what we've actually typed out. So if we type expression, you can see it turns gray here. And that means it's a variable. And so this set of text is just standing for whatever we've input into the message before. So to prompt it, we're going to say something like, you're a calendar assistant. Something like this. And then for this the message input that we're giving it in the previous block, where we just type out and we're chatting with this agent, we want to say something like, execute the following command. And then we actually need to give it the tools that it can use. So to do this, we can just say something like access to following tools, and then we can list them out here. So in this case, we want it to be able to access the calendar events. Create an event, delete an event, and then lastly, we might want it to be able to change an event. We'll just start with these, keep it pretty simple. So you literally just type out the tools that you want it to be able to do, or the actions you want it to take. Then there's actually one last thing we have to do when putting together this prompt for the agent is we have to actually add a variable for the current day and the current time. So to do this, when you're adding variables, you just type 2 curly brackets, and then you can see it populates the suggestions here. We're going to use this $now. So I'm going to go ahead and click on that, and you can see it turns green. Make sure it's on expression instead of fixed, but that's all we need to do. We can just say today's date is, just so it knows the current day and the current time. So if we're having, like we're asking it what are the events for today, it knows what the actual date is, and it can go off of that. So once we're done with that, we can click out of the agent, go back, and we can actually start adding these attachments here for the AI agent. The first thing we can do is add this chat model, and then I'm just going to add OpenAI's chat model, and then add GPT-4o mini. So what you'll need to do is actually get an API key from your OpenAI account. So to do that, you can just look up OpenAI API key. Click on this first one here, and then we'll want to log in. Click API, log in, and then you can go to your dashboard here, and then over on the left side, go down to API keys. You can see I already have some here. You just click generate or create new secret key. You want to store that somewhere for you to remember, and then we can copy and paste the secret key, and then paste it into innate-in to connect to your OpenAI account. And then you can just leave it. It should autofill to GPT-4o mini. We can leave that as is. And then we want to add a memory. We can do a window buffer, and then just leave everything here as is. So the memory buffer just allows the agent to remember the previous message that we've sent and the previous responses that the agent has given. It just helps with referencing, like, create a meeting at 4:30, and then you're like, wait, no, never mind, change it to, start at 5:30, something like that. It can just remember and go back and see the previous messages that have already been sent to it. So then up next, we can actually start adding these tools. The tools we actually listed in here. So we're going to actually copy these prompts or the tools that we gave it here. So we can go back out and select add a new tool. I'm going to connect my Google Calendar. Once again, you'll have to connect your Google Calendar. It just prompts you to log in and then check the things that you want to be able to connect and have innate-in have access to. So like creating, changing, deleting, things like that. So once you've connected your calendar, this tool description we want to actually set to manually, and then this is where we're going to paste in that description that we're actually giving the AI agent. And then here we want the event or the resource to be an event, and then operation we're going to select to get mini, as we wanted to access multiple events in our calendar. Select the calendar you've connected, and then the after and before we want to actually change that, because right now it's just going off of the current date, and then looks like one day or a week, plus or minus, I guess plus. We can actually change these to the from AI. So when we're doing this, you do make sure it's set to expression, and then we're going to do two curly brackets, $, and then type from AI, and then we're going to do the after. So we can just do something like after date of event, and this just lets the AI know that it should put in a after date. It should be in date form, and then gives it a little bit of information as to what it's actually going to be filling in for this variable here. So we can do something similar for this. from AI, and then the $sign from AI. And then we're going to fill in these quotes here. So before date event. Then you can see here at the bottom there's other options that you can add. We're just going to leave these blank for right now. But that should be all we need for this tool. We can rename this. This renaming is just for ourselves so we can see when we're actually editing this workflow what is happening in this specific tool. Let's call it something like access events. So you can see that just pops up outside here. But keep in mind that this description is the description being used by the actual AI agent, which is why we copied and pasted it directly from the prompt for the AI agent. So we're going to repeat that same process, go down and copy the next tool here, and then we're going to go back out and add it here. Calendar. Again, do set manually and paste in the tool description that we gave it. In the other prompt, leave it at event, create, select the calendar, and then again we're going to fill in this start and end date of the event with from AI. So we're going to do delete this and do 2 curly brackets from AI, and then we're going to do start of event, and then we can do end of event. So next we can actually add the field, because this just gives the AI is currently filling in the start and end of the event. However, we don't have the names. So you can see here this one's titled meeting, or this one's also titled meeting, and then the gym. So we also want to allow the agent to actually name these events. Otherwise, we'll have a bunch of random events on our calendar and won't know what they're for. So to do this, we can add a field here, and I believe it is called summary. And then we can make sure it's set to expression, and then do from AI again. And this time we'll call it something like event title. And that should be all we need for this tool. We'll rename it really quick. And then we can go ahead and add the next one, which is delete an event. So I'll copy this, add a tool for my calendar, set to manually, and then paste in that same description here. Operation set to delete the calendar, and then the event ID. So we're going to change this to expression, and then something we actually need to specify here. So we'll do what we were doing before, do the 2 curly brackets, the $sign, and type from AI. So what we need to do here is actually specify that the AI needs to fill in an event ID instead of just an event title or an event. So we'll do something like ID of event to delete. So when it's going through here and filling in these variables, it needs to know that it's supposed to get the event ID here instead of just the event title or the start time or something like that it tries to fill in on its own. So that's all we need for deleting. And then when I was originally making this, I believe the next one is change an event. This was not working. We're going to try it, but we'll copy this like we did before. Make sure to save it kind of as you're going. Then we're going to add another tool for a calendar, set to manually, change an event, leave the resource as an event, and then the operation is going to be update. Select your calendar that you connected, and then we're going to again change this to expression, and specify that it needs to add the ID of event to change. So we'll see if this worked. Before, it was kind of glitching out whenever I click off of this. Yeah. So you can see I can't edit anything now. So that's why I told you to save it, because now that I refresh, we still have all of our changes saved out here besides that event that we had just added, or the tool that we just added. But one thing that we can actually do, instead of having this update tool here, we can go down to this change event action that we're giving it and actually specify what it can do instead. So one thing that we could have it to do is you should create an event, a new event with the reflected changes. So we could just tell it when it's executing this action that it should actually just use these previous two tools to create a new event with the changes that we asked it to change, and then delete the previous event that we're actually changing. So instead of having a separate tool out here to actually change the events, we instead just tell it to create one and then use the delete tool to delete the previous one. So that should be all we need when making this agent and giving it the tools it needs to actually manage these kind of basic actions in our calendar. So we can select chat down here to test this. Bring my calendar over, and then we can say you can see it receives the chat, it goes to the agent, and then it goes to the model to figure out which tool it needs to use, and then it looks at the events, and then you can see it lists the 2 meetings I have, the times that they're at, the gym, and then lastly the dinner at 6:30. So then we can go ahead and try create an event for, let's say, lunch. I might need lunch at 12:30. So you can see it creates an event at lunch, 12:30. And then we can say, maybe I want to move lunch up to 12:15. So if we watch here, we can see that it gets the events, it then creates a new event, and then it actually deletes the previous one. You can see that reflected here, where it created a new event for lunch at 12:15, and then it deleted the previous event at 12:30. Then maybe an event got deleted. Let's say I don't need the meeting, so delete the meeting at 1:15. Okay, so you can see it showed up with this kind of error message here. So if we actually click on this tool now, you can see that it ran this tool 3 times. This is where this debugging function comes in handy. Is you can see it ran it 3 times, and you can see each time, the first 2 times it used the same event ID. So you can see the 3rd time it ran, it gave a separate event ID, and then that one was the correct one. And you can see that it actually deleted on the 3rd time that it tried. So you can see that it ran several times. You can see the model was used 5 times, 2 for the memory buffer, and then this ran 3. So it was kind of checking its work as it went and realized that it wasn't working, and then it tried a couple different things until it finally got it to work. And you can see that it said that the meeting was successfully deleted, and let me know if you need any assistance. So now that we have this actually fully built, you probably don't want to come to N8N and interact with it inside of this, chat right here. So what we can actually do is connect it to a outside messenger. I actually like to use a platform called Telegram, just because you can use it on your computer, on your phone. Really convenient. It's kind of similar to WhatsApp. So once you make a Telegram account, you can actually start a new chat with, it's kind of weird, but what is called botfather. The username is @botfather, and then you do /start. I think this automatically happened, and then you do /new bot to create a new bot. It walks you through the naming process here. It's pretty simple, and then lastly it gives you the link that you can click to actually chat with the bot, and then this API token that you need to actually connect to N8N. So we can go back to N8N, and we can actually delete this initial chat message here and replace it with Telegram. And then the trigger event we're going to wait for is on message. So whenever we ourselves send a message, that will actually start this workflow and chat with the agent. So you can see here's where you connect your Telegram account. It'll just prompt you for this API key, which it gives you in this message here. We can leave triggers on message, and then we can click out and connect this to the AI agent. So it's actually 2 or 3 changes that we need to make to this current workflow to allow us to use Telegram. Firstly is this JSON.chat input is referencing the N8N message chat instead of Telegram chat. So what we can do is click execute previous nodes. I think we have to go chat with the bot that we've actually connected. So you can see if we just send a simple message, doesn't really matter what it is, to our bot that we've actually made, you can see that it populates this input field here, and it gives us all of this data it gives us all of this data about the message that we just sent. So information about the chat ID, and then the actual text that we just sent. So that is actually what this previous variable was standing for, was the message that we were actually sending to the AI agent. So we actually need to delete this and replace it with the message from the Telegram chat, which we can do literally just by dragging this text over into the prompt for the agent. So you can see we can just leave everything else the same. We can leave this variable, but you can see this is green, and then this is green now also. So we can click out of here and actually go into this memory tool, and you can see that this JSON.session ID is now red. So this JSON.session ID was actually referencing the N8N chat function as well. So what we actually need to do is replace this with the chat ID from the Telegram trigger. So instead of session ID, we're going to define it ourselves below, change this key to an expression, and then we can just drag in the chat ID from there, and you can see it turns green and then fills in whatever the chat ID for the Telegram chat is. So now that we've changed the current workflow that we have, we actually need to allow the agent to send a Telegram chat back to us. So you can probably have guessed that's where this output tool comes in. So you need to select the plus, search for Telegram, And then we're going to scroll down to the message actions and do send a text message. So then we actually need to fill in a couple of these fields here. N8N makes it really easy. You just select execute previous nodes, and then you can see we get both the input from the Telegram trigger as well as the agent now. So this chat ID, we're going to do the same as the window buffer, the memory. We're going to drag in the chat ID, and then the text that we want to have sent back to us inside of Telegram is the output from the agent, which we can drag in into this field here. You can see both of these are green. You want to make sure that they're both selected under expression, and now we should be good to go. So you can select save, and then we can actually turn this workflow from inactive to active, and then it will start running for us. So now we can go into Telegram and chat with our bot and have our calendar managed by this AI agent. You can see it lists the events, deletes it, creates events, all like we were just doing before inside of N8N. It's doing all of this through a Telegram chat. You can see it's actively updating the calendar with whatever changes we're telling it to make. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments below. And if you found it useful, feel free to leave a like, subscribe, and that's all I have for you today. Have a good one.